Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. How you doing today? I know it's a busy day of Champions League games going on right now. I've got most of them in the background there, and unfortunately, it appears all our rivals are winning. Now, obviously, in some sense, maybe that's not a bad thing because the English coefficient goes up. But yeah, all the English teams winning. But we'll keep an eye on those games. Looking at Napoli, Chelsea, where Napoli could be knocked out, I think, with a loss, and they're down 1-0 right now. So yeah, I expect a bit of a quiet stream. So thank you for those who are popping in today. But man, it's hard. For one, this new format, it's hard to watch Champions League football when it's somehow still the group stages at the end of January. Like, can we get on with it into the knockouts, the exciting stuff? I don't know. Yeah. But hello, everybody. Marcus, Jacob, Satyajit, Darth Red, Issa, everybody else. I hope you are doing well today. Sammy, Iraqi, all of that. Marcus, that color looks different. Is it just me? Your name color is different. Did you do that, or is that just did YouTube update some things? Because it's like a nicer, like more pretty blue for some reason. Am I like having a stroke here, or is it just did it change? Yeah, the new format is rather boring, but hello everybody. And yeah, just by the way, with regards to Napoli, just being mentioned there, obviously we've moved Rasmus Højlund onto there, and there's certain conditions that mean that it's automatically triggered. But the thing to bear in mind is, as far as everybody understands, as far as we all know, and as far as I've heard, they're gonna buy him kind of regardless of what happens at that price. It's not an issue. So that clause, whatever that buy option clause is, the expectation is that they're just going to trigger it kind of regardless of what happens. So, yeah. So we don't have to really worry about that. Thank you, KB. Appreciate it very much. We do have some things to talk about today. It probably won't be a long stream. I say that. Sometimes we find some absolutely random tangent to go on that takes 30, 40 minutes. And we dive into that. But I don't necessarily expect to have a long stream today. I'm feeling like it's a quiet week. There's a couple pieces of news that I do want to discuss. However, a couple things that have sort of come up in these last like 24 hours that are rather interesting. We'll talk about Meite. We'll talk about Colette Roche, the stadium. Some interesting things on all of those fronts that are going on. So we'll talk about a few different things there. But yeah, just in case I'm not being clear on this, Napoli are expected to, I think Fabrizio talked about this in the last couple of days, but the expectation has been for some time now that they're going to buy him pretty much no matter what, regardless of whether it's automatically triggered by them being in Champions League or not. All right, let's dive right in. I want to first talk about this news that came out, which is Adam Lawrence returning to United. We saw him depart Newcastle fairly recently. Adam Lawrence was, of course, Napoli have scored. They have just completed a goal. So we'll see. I laugh at the reporting around United last week. Players contain Amram too detailed today. The thing is that it's one of the reasons why I just ignore it. And then whenever it happens, whenever you change managers, you get tons of stories. And then people hype this thing and hype that thing and kill this thing. When Carrick was here last, we heard about how the training sessions were too boring, too detailed. Now they're very exciting and intense. I'm not saying that they haven't changed or anything, but it's just what it is. It's like as soon as the new guy's in, you got to shit all over the old guy and make the new guy sound like God. And then within 6 months, as soon as you start losing games, it's going to change. That's just the reporters doing what they do. Nice getting those clicks. Got to feed, got to eat, got to get everything read. But regardless, that's why I kind of don't pay attention to him. But back to what I was going to say. Adam Lawrence, we saw that he was departing Newcastle. He was obviously the under 18s coach for a while. during a really successful campaign, winning the title a couple years ago, and then heading off over to Newcastle, where he stayed for a very short amount of time. And apparently, Newcastle kind of stinks. Elliot Anderson, I hope you're paying attention. Apparently, Newcastle kind of stinks, and he was ready to head on out as soon as possible from Newcastle. Wasn't very excited about that. So, yeah, that was an interesting one, but he's back, and that's good news. Adam Lawrence was, when we had a lot of people leave the academy, it wasn't on purpose. It wasn't like we were kicking them all out. There's a lot of good that's been done at the academy level over the last few years. And obviously now Travis Binion stepped up into the first team coaching staff at the moment. That under 21s role was vacant for Adam Lawrence to return. And so he has. So I think that's a really good thing. I mean, if you ask anybody who follows the youth and the academy, they would suggest this is a good news. It's happy news. So it's good to see that. I mean, it's very, very our most successful, I think, under 18s coach in quite some time. Being back at the club, has a lot of experience with obviously these players, a lot of them in the under 18s, now in the under 21s. So he'll be very familiar with a lot of them. And I think that could be a very, very good thing. So that's just good news. I mean, sometimes it's just indisputably to me, it's just good news. It's like, great, awesome, can only be positive. But maybe the Newcastle environment just wasn't for him. And he said, you know what? I'm coming back to Big Man United. That's what we like to see. Carrington upgraded, all this stuff happening. The youth facility is something that will be built. Still our plans for that. Maybe just felt like it's the time to come back to United, and we're on the up and up, and they're all going to come flocking back to Manchester United. That's what I would like to see as well. Meite interest refuted. No, I'll explain what is going on, which isn't a surprise. This is what we were kind of waiting to see, what kind of reports and responses and things like that came out. But yeah, exactly, Amy. It's good news because when he left, it was just for another youth job. He wasn't stepping up. So it was like, yikes, does that spell bad news for the academy? And apparently, no. He's come back. So the grass was not greener on the Newcastle side, and he'll be back. And yeah, I think he's a really, really, really top coach in general. So it's a good sign that he's coming back, and he didn't just leave for greener pastures and find them green. He left for greener pastures and found them kind of rotten, and made his way back. Good signs as well. So that story over on the page. And you might notice below me something new. Proton VPN, high-speed Swiss VPN with thousands of servers in 60-plus countries. Yep, I applied to be an affiliate partner with them, and we have done so. So we have an affiliate partner for the channels for now. And it is a good VPN. And I applied for them specifically, as I've always said, because I want to partner with something I actually use. And I use Proton VPN quite a bit. Obviously, you can use your VPN service to secure your internet to, as football fans, we always have a need to look at different countries and travel and all the reasons you might want to be, temporarily in the UK or Spain or France or in the US or something like that. Proton VPN I found to be a really, really good service. VPNs are going to be banned in your country at this rate. Yeah, well, use them while you still can. But yeah, I mean, there's so many restrictions these days on so many things that VPN services are obviously just super useful. So use the link below or scan the QR code for Muppeteers affiliate. They have a 70% discount right now on a 2-year plan, which I think works out to about €3 a month. They have or 10 euros a month, or it's like €4 a month for a yearly plan. Cancel anytime, 30-day money-back guarantee. Proton VPN. So also works on all devices as well, and that's important too for reasons. But yes, it's a good one. I've used a few, and I really liked Proton VPN, so I thought I'll apply for them. So there you have it. We've got that. But here's the story then, okay? Adam Lawrence returning, obviously, and taking the place of as of the under 21s, as Travis Binion has moved up. Yeah, good for them. Sealing a deal with the Muppeteers, good for them. Missed opportunity for you to show pills that make us all optimistic. Use Proton 2. It's a good service. It is genuinely very, very easy to use. You just sign up, sign in, pick your country, and it's like in seconds, it's all connected. It's done good for me. It's done good for me. Only the British. Yeah. And it's crazy because if you're in England and you have a 3 p.m. broadcast blackout, you've got to use a VPN potentially in your own country to watch games. How weird is that? So weird. It's so restrictive on the consumer, and you got to thank VPNs for helping. And no, we will not be sponsored by Rainbet. I think Proton VPN is a good service. Privacy, Swiss privacy laws, all that protecting it, and that's a good thing in today's age, to have that privacy. But it's unbelievable what you guys have to deal with over there. Blows my mind. Blows my mind. So, yeah, you need something to calm you down on Carrick. What if he's the one? What if he is? I want to say this about Carrick, and let me find a tweet from miles back. I want to find this, okay? I want to say this about Carrick, and this isn't me patting my own back. It's a matter of, when Ollie was here and when he left and that time ended, I heard a lot about Carrick at the time, and everything I heard, I thought, man, it is an unbelievable shame that this guy is leaving because he is potentially a top coach. And that was the view of so many people behind the scenes and things like that as well, that he's a top coach. And, and it's just, hold on, sorry, I'm getting used. But that he is a top coach. Hold on. And it was a shame that he was leaving. And I watched a fair bit of his time at Middlesbrough. And I thought, damn, this guy is good. Like, he sets up his team really, really, really well. I remember tweeting back then, here, let's look at it like this. These are some of the things I said back then on it. And some of this we're going to find really funny. I said, had a good watch of Borough today. Carrick's doing a great job. The level on points for the last playoff spot as well. Midfield 2 is really impressive. And people said the squad's good enough to be in the playoffs, shouldn't be on the edge. And I said, I don't know. To me, on watch, they seem extremely well organized, a clear plan. They're in great form. And I found it difficult to judge the squad quality and just felt like he's the type of coach that I think that I think could level up with a better squad. You look at like what Company did there, and did in terms of the championship and how it stepped up, and you go, all right, maybe some of these coaches who can coach really well at these level will actually be able to take that step up to a higher level. And all the way, and it is funny. It's unfortunate too. Rasmus Højlund scores to give Napoli the lead against Chelsea 2-1. Oh, and he does the horrible guitar thing. Anyway, good for him. Good for Napoli. He needed that. But, but yeah, anyway, there's these, Carrick did leave in part because of how toxic things were at the time and all of that. And you remember the coaches were all getting called out and it was like, oh, it's jobs for the boys and inexperience and all of these kinds of things. I mean, take a look at this. This is what's crazy, right? Here's a tweet that I replied to Andy Mitten back then. I said, let's keep this propaganda going until Carrick comes back. And I meant that seriously. I feel like some people have taken this ironically, but it's not. I'd love him to come back as coach. I said that in April 2022. Look at the responsive. calling me the worst United account out there. Why do you want us to fail? What the hell? Of course you would. He's been here through 2 managers, got sacked. I doubt he's that good. We need to move on, head in hands. Look at the responses about our man Michael Carrick back in the day. But that's the type of responses you would get back then talking about Carrick. There was a strong narrative back then that the coaches were to blame and they were awful and all of that. Second. So it's crazy to see how times change, but the reality is that a lot of people around in football felt that Michael Carrick was a really, really good coach, and that his time at Middlesbrough was also successful. Just needed better quality of players, and now we're seeing it in the step up, and who knows? So let yourself get carried away. It's Michael Carrick. If we can't get behind him and feel extremely excited by the prospect, then so be it. Look, it would be great to have a top coach, and obviously our aim should be for the highest level possible. But as we saw with Ollie, it would be kind of special, given that this is Manchester United. This is Manchester United we're talking about. Given that this is Manchester United we're talking about, it would still be special, just as it would have been under Solskjaer, if a legend of our club who won titles with Sir Alex was able to be the guy.
Isn't the
you know what I mean?
test of Carrick's set up the next 5 games? It's not even the results, but the underlying metrics.
Yeah, look, I think that for sure. I think that it's great that we've won these excellent games. But yes, of course, it's going to be about consistency. It's going to be about the games that are here to come, the Fulham game, the Tottenham game, the games at home, the games we should win, to show, I wouldn't say it, that Arsenal and City are a non-factor. They're a huge positive representation of things. But as I've said before, the reality is that not that much has changed as of yet. And if you listen to everybody talk about it, and if you talk to people who have knowledge of the situation, we haven't done this major, gigantic tactical switch. We've simplified, gone to the basics, gotten more compact, shored things up, some good, intelligent, in positivity, intensity, things like that. The further we go along in the games to come over the rest of the season, the more we're going to start to see the need for flexibility in the tactics, the need for being in a more dominant state, the need for, and we've got to be good at all facets, because you look at the stats and United are really good on the underlyings, and they have been this season. We can't go. Let's put it this way. If we play pragmatic football, low possession, grind out wins and points to get into Champions League, that's fantastic. But if we do that, then maybe Carrick isn't the guy, if you know what I'm saying, for the long term. Not to say that would be a black mark against him. That would be doing his job, coming here and helping us get Champions League. But the manner in which we do it does also matter in terms of the long-term discussion over should Carrick take the next job. If it's all pragmatic football, if it's all, dropping in deeper a bit, playing a bit more on the break, low possession, and all of that, even against the smaller sides, even against the Fulhams, and we're not a dominant force, then yes, I think that has to be factored in terms of the style. Not as to does it mean Carrick's doing a good or bad job? There's 2 different questions here. The job for this season, for the rest of the season, to try and get into Champions League. And there's, well, what about the future? What about the next step? What about going for titles? And those jobs are a little different. And what you need to do in order to maybe ride out the season with only 15 games left and 1 game a week versus going into next season trying to build towards winning titles are 2 different things, And that's, that's the interesting part of the whole equation, is that there are 2 different facets to making this whole thing work. So I think we do need to consider how, the next few games go. But otherwise, let yourself get carried away a bit. I do want to talk about some of the Fulham stats here in a minute, but I want to talk about this Meite deal, because as we were talking about it yesterday, So this is I think the most salient point on this. United are aware of young French protege Carrick Meite, who is on a list of potential future targets. Now remember, we've always said, look, we're not going to make a deal in this window unless it's a long-term target. As I was saying the other day, he is a long-term target. He is a future target. He is somebody that we would consider. That's why I said don't rule this out, because he is on our list of potential signings. Doesn't mean we're going to do it, but that's why it's worth just keeping an eye on. Now, it says very unlikely they'd move for him in this window, barring, say, a large money offer coming in for Zirkzee, but he's a big prospect. So essentially, the message is it's unlikely at this point in time that we make a move. But if, say, Zirkzee does end up leaving and we make a Zirkzee sale and Roma come back in, and we might be sending a little signal here, by the way. You never know. Like, unlikely, yes. Probably not going to happen. Probably not. But just in case, if Roma pop up with a 30 million pound offer for Zirkzee tomorrow instead of this loan with option crap, that changes the whole thing. That changes the whole equation here. And I think that's what we'll see if this happens. That's what we'll see if this happens right now. So the chances are obviously low. But the confirmation we have is the truth. He is a long-term target. He is someone that we would think about. He is somebody we'll keep an eye on for the future if we don't sign him now. And there may be an opportunity towards the end of the window to get something done. But the odds are, at this point, very, very low. We're not expecting to do it because we're not expecting a big offer and what have you. But it may well be that in summer, this is the... we could very well come back for him in summer if we don't get him in January. You know, Zirkzee could end up leaving in summer and we make this deal in summer. It's altogether possible. Very, very possible. So I wasn't concentrating, thought you were saying Sterling. Yeah. Imagine that. Raheem Sterling, what do you think, guys? Raheem Sterling on a free. Left winger. The left winger that was promised, the left winger we've always needed. One's in the chat for Raheem. Raheem the Dream. One's in the chat. United fan. Come on home. No, absolutely not. Avoid. Yeah, absolutely not. Abso-freaking-lutely. You know, it's funny because we've got the city connection. He'll know Wilcox and all of them and all of that. And for a moment when it was coming up, I was like, would we do this? And then I was like, nah. There's no way that the club are going to sign Raheem Sterling. And with good reason. I'm just kidding. I don't want to sign Raheem Sterling. Yeah, I don't want to sign Raheem Sterling. So yeah, I was just joking. Just joking. It was 10 years ago, maybe 8 years ago. Would be good. It's time to go to bed. I am a little tired today. So, all right. So that was that. So Carrick Meite, unlikely to happen, but perhaps if we get some big offer for Zirkzee, it could still happen. If not, it's another one we'll have to keep an eye on for potentially January. You know, that's always on the table. For summer, excuse me. If we don't do it now, which is unlikely, but we'll see in the last few days, then summer, certainly one to keep an eye on. If we want to get that second striker coming in, replace Joshua Zirkzee, it might be easier to get a deal done in summer. Then we have this story, which I do find rather interesting. Now, of course, we again, you have noticed, by the way, I hope people have recognized the number of things that have happened since that meeting last week. Like, was it 2 weeks ago or last week? Whenever that meeting was, a lot has happened since then. I hope people have recognized that. As we talked about in the meeting, there was discussions with a lot of people, potential investors. The stadium was certainly a subject. We have this committee that started. We've been doing all sorts of different things. And then there's this. And look, yes, something like this is a little bit like, of course, that's for show. But the point being is that the United are trying to send a signal here that we are moving ahead with this. Now, there's still major questions we have to ask. But, you know, I mean, this is a full-on role, which is basically saying to Colette Roche, hey, she's going to be on this full-time, 24/7. That's the job now. That's the job now. You're the CEO of new stadium development. You know, it's a whole new separate role that is just purely on this Old Trafford regeneration project and making it formal. And, you know, it says following last Friday's official launch of the Old Trafford Regeneration Mayoral Development Corporation. Good Lord, that's a mouthful. The driving force behind the scheme to deliver thousands of jobs and homes catalyzed by a new 100,000-seater stadium for the club. Yeah. Consultation, et cetera, et cetera. As we start to accelerate our plans, we are delighted that Colette will now be totally focused on working to deliver this hugely important project. I'm incredibly proud. She's also incredibly proud to have been asked to lead the new stadium development and continue to work closely with the Mayor Development Corporation and all our diverse stakeholders, et cetera, et cetera. So clearly the message has been sent. We want to move on this stadium. Maybe we've got the sponsors lined up. Maybe we've got other things. I do know, as I think I shared earlier on in the season, that we had met with multiple potential groups with regards to the engineering construction of said stadium. The Development Council is now alive, which gives us the ability, of course, to potentially force the sale of the rail yard. You know, maybe something's happening. Maybe we're finally starting to move. Obviously, the big question here is, how the hell are we paying for this stadium, and what does it mean for the general ownership structure? Because certainly we've got to answer this question soon. I'm not saying I understand the full scope of these projects, because obviously there's so much that goes into it. But surely the next phase is like, we need funding and to start like doing shit, right? Like, surely, right? Like, we've got plans, we've got this. Like, I'm pretty sure that we've decided what we want to do. We've got, surely we need some money and start like buying things and setting things up. And right now the tent design remains. They looked at alternative plans, but as far as we know, they have not decided to scrap the tent as of the last plans anyway. But seriously, like, what else? What is next? You know, what is next? We don't know. But obviously these meetings we've had, all the things that have been happening in the next little bit of time, since then have been telling us like they want to move on this. They want to start really getting somewhere with this stadium thing. So, you know, right now it's a lot of like internal motions and things and all of that happening. But the next thing we got to really start hearing to believe is some sort of financing. Yeah, be it Lexi like that, like be it naming rights, a sponsor, a partner, a building construction selected, the rail yard. Like, one of those things now has to like tip over. But it does feel like there's something happening that none of us know about as of yet. And like I've said, we've been meeting with people, and there's been a search for financing and investors and partners, and they had a potential investor there at that meeting. And you know, there's so many things that have been happening on this that it feels like there's something in the works. And I even wonder, you know, I even wonder if, what did I even wonder? I even wonder about some of that Dubai stuff we were hearing. You know what I mean? I even wonder about that. Like, was there something in all of that? And maybe it was about, Maybe it was about that. I just don't know. Maybe it was about, maybe even that, like I suspected, the rumors that came out about this Dubai group, maybe that was actually in connection to, the stadium and to looking for investors and partners and things. And that's what that was about. It's hard to know, but it does feel like there's got to be something here. Otherwise, it's all like, what are we doing? When is this? There's so much noise, but it's like we don't actually hear anything yet. I'm not saying they're not working on stuff. I'm not like trying to denigrate the work and the planning, because obviously there's a huge project that goes into it, but it still feels like we've got that one missing piece, which is where the hell is the money coming from? And nobody yet can answer that question, even though we've heard plenty of things about how they might be looking to answer that question. We've yet to actually hear how. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it on the stadium and on this Colette Roche thing. What do you guys think? Like, do you think we have some money coming from somewhere? Do you think, like, if we're getting into Champions League, there's partners that want to invest? Do you think, I'm sure we've had lots of discussions. I feel like, and I mean, I don't know more than you guys at this stage on it, because I've shared everything I've known about us meeting with the construction companies, about potential investors, about searching that out. I can't say that I know that they have anything done. Do you guys feel like we do? Because I for some reason I just get the idea like there's something lined up, and there must be, right? There must be. Yeah, there must be something. It's just what I feel like. Proton VPN Trafford, there you go. You feel there's a third buyer that will take a piece from the Glazers? That's what I'm saying. Like, it does feel like there's potentially something like that, in the works. Yeah. I just have lots of texts and things coming in at the moment, kind of distracting me. Start a GoFundMe for the Muppeteers Old Trafford. Should we change the donation thing to the Muppeteers Old Trafford Fund? Something like that. That would be fun. That would be an interesting one. But anyway, so yeah, I guess we'll just see. I guess we'll just see what happens next in the next few days and weeks. But clearly there's been a lot happening since that meeting to try and get things going. For sure, it does seem that way. I want to discuss Fulham a little bit, because they're an interesting side. And obviously we'll kind of break it down further in the next couple of days, but as we lean in, but these weeks are long, and it's like, it's kind of funny. I'm not saying we're over the Arsenal win, but after the City win, it was like, wow, that was incredible. We got Arsenal upcoming, and we were like sitting on that City win for a while. After the Arsenal one, I feel like most everybody's already starting to look forward to the next game, because I think we're all sitting here going, holy shit, guys, this might actually be real. And we might actually like do something. And we're all like almost on edge about the next game being one we should win. And it's an interesting matchup. I have to tell you, when I was looking at a lot of the stats, on Fulham, and if you look like at XG per 90 and shots on target per 90, they're like all the way down here. And if you look at like shots against per 90, where left is good, they're like right in the middle. And if you look at like presses, they're one of the lowest pressing sides in the league. High number is worse, once again, as we're up here at the top. And if you look at like passes per possession, it's interesting how, like this lower means you attack a lot faster or you lose the ball quicker. They're right around the middle. So they don't attack really fast, but they do pass quite a fair bit, similar to Brighton in style. Trafford, yeah, that wouldn't be bad. But yeah, they're sort of a strange team. I haven't really figured them out. I don't feel like they're very good, but they're not very bad either. I know they're on a very good run of form at the moment, but I'll be honest with you guys. I suspect they're one of these teams that's kind of overperforming a bit right now from what you would really expect out of them. Let me look at their numbers here. I'm always curious. Yeah, I mean, if you look at it based on expected goal difference, they're like way down here, -8. Expected points wise, they should be in like 15th. They're one of these teams that's sort of oddly overperforming at the moment. I mean, like they're defending wise, like if you look at their expected goals against, they have one of the worst defenses in the league, but they've somehow managed to keep those numbers down on conceding. And I can't really explain why some teams are like this. And look, over time it usually levels out, but they're like the fifth. They create the fifth fifth fewest chances, and they concede the fifth most chances. Like they're a 15th place team performance wise, and yet they've won 10 games. Same as us. Obviously, they've lost a few more, and they're below us in the table for that reason. But they're an odd side, and I think it's sometimes hard to know with those teams why that's happening. Are they scoring bangers? Are they, do they just have that habit of throwing wrenches in the opposition plan and things like that? I kind of think that's a part of it. But realistically, this is a team we should be beating. We're better than them by like every margin. I mean, look at the chance created stat here, by the way. We've created 45 expected goals in the league. They've created 26. So I do feel like this is a...
Datum and Fotmob are pretty good alts. Red
heart
emoji.
Yeah, understat is good for these things. Data MB is pretty good. Yep. But FB Ref losing that was a blow for sure. But yeah, it's a strange team. They don't make a lot of chances, and I'm still irritated by that first game against them because of them sitting there yapping like they tactically outclassed us and did us over because they got a draw at home, where we missed a penalty, hit the post, they saved the one-on-one. Like they are a team that can be got at. They're definitely a team that can be got at. One of the things is I've seen a lot of people say like, oh, it's going to be, a low block, Fulham. It's a test of a low block, but they don't play a low block. In fact, almost nobody plays a low block anymore in the Premier League these days. They play mostly a mid block that doesn't really press particularly much. When they get the ball, they do pass it around a little. And you know what else I remember from that Fulham game? Even though it didn't directly result in goals against, for all their yap about tactical master classes and how they did us over, and that was that all those corners when Bayindir was in there, flapping at corners, giving them the ball back. Like it didn't directly lead to a goal, but it certainly had a massive impact on the game. Like it had a huge impact on the state of the game and their ability to pressure us, their ability to cause us problems, the worry, the expected goals, like all sorts of stuff were a consequence of how awful we were at dealing with those corners with Bayindir in net. And then they had the nerve to go and gloat like they pulled off some miracle in a draw. Like, fuck that, man, that pissed me off. It pissed me off back then. It pisses me off now. I want revenge on those fuckers. I want revenge on those guys. And we should have beat them. And we should definitely beat them at home. We should definitely beat them at home. Yeah, it was Bruno's, I think, worst game of the season. He lost his head, missed the penalty, he lost his man for the goal. Worst game of the season for him. And it was like, fine, we move on from that. But yeah, we need revenge. We need our revenge against this team. That's what bothered me so much. It was like, how would these bastards sit here and act like they did so well against us when they should have been down 2-3-0 in the first half? Like, whatever, fuck them, you know? But it will be a different game. It will definitely be a different game than what we've seen in the last couple of weeks. And I'm curious to see if we make any adjustments. Obviously, Patrick Dorgu being out for 10 weeks, we're going to have to make a change, or maybe it's less than 10 weeks. We're going to have to make a change there. I would expect, of course, Matheus Cunha being usually the first man off the bench to come in and start on the left side. Alternatively, we could see Cunha go up top. We could see Ahmad go to the left and Bumo to the right, play a little bit of a different shape or a different style this time. That is also possible. So a few different ways that we could approach this game as well moving forward, since it will be a slightly different matchup. And we will have to make that change with Dorgu out. And obviously you're going to get something different from whoever plays on that side. You'll get something different. I think Ahmad might be the closest, not like him and Dorgu are similar as players, but the reason why I think Ahmad tactically might be the closest to somehow shift him to the left is because, of course, there's the left-footedness, but there's also that defensive work rate, the way that he supports the midfield. You know, Ahmad's good at that, carrying the ball, some of the power fouling, the drawing fouls. I think Ahmad's good at those things. Obviously, a different player to Dorgu, but could give you some of the same dynamics over there on that side if you wanted it. So we'll see. But I think Cunha comes in immediately. He's had such a huge impact off of the bench. Obviously doing really, really well right now. I'm sure he will be, he should be first name on the list to come in after, to come into these situations. So yeah. So anyway, those are my thoughts on it. It'll certainly be a different game, but we'll see how it plays out as well. See how it plays out. Any news on Saudi friendlies? There was that guy from Kuwait government, right, who said that they had to turn down a request for us to play. I thought the timing of that was weird. February 12th, because don't we have a game on don't we have a game on the 10th? I know we have a little time after that. Maybe they meant like arriving after the 10th on the 12th and then staying a few days or something, because there's like a 13-day gap in there between games. And I would suspect we do end up with some sort of friendly. I mean, we've got this huge stretch in March that's going to be crazy. It would be a good time for it. Yeah, I don't know otherwise. I need to ask soon about what the plans are for this coming summer, because I don't think they'll be doing a full tour. Yeah, we have the week off for the FA Cup. Yeah. I don't think they'll be doing a full tour this summer, but there will be preseason games. I'm just not sure exactly where. We owe Red Bull a game. We've talked about Saudi being potentially a game. So I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen, but I do need to ask, because obviously if anything ends up over in the States, I'll be there. But we'll see. So it's going to be we have a weird little schedule coming up here, because we have Fulham. 6 days later we have Tottenham, and then 3 days later West Ham, and then we get 13 days until Everton, and then we get Palace a week later, and then we get Newcastle 3 days later, and then Villa 10 days later, and then 6 days later a game, and then it's like 22 days until the next game, which is crazy. So somewhere in there, I suspect there will be something done, because they're not going to be off for 3 weeks. That's for sure. So yeah, maybe we're the only team that's so bad to not have any games played. I mean, maybe. Unfortunately, it might be the case. But that's it. I don't really have anything else to talk about today. I really don't. We covered everything. Let's see. We went through Adam Lawrence returning. We talked about Kader Meite. We talked about Colette Roche. We've looked at some numbers, looked at some stats, and yeah, that's pretty much it. It's otherwise it's a fairly quiet week. It's certainly the quietest January I can recall. Even when we don't do a lot of business in January, it's like totally dead at the moment. Benzema, just ask yourself why. Ask yourself why. Would we make a move for one of those types of guys? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying Benzema's not a good player or whatever, but like, why would we make a move for one of them now? You know what I mean? Those are the questions you've got to ask yourself, and the answer is we wouldn't, because we haven't, and we've had seemingly no intention of doing any sort of random short-term older player deal or anything like that at this point in time.
Not seen, but I'm sure you've addressed it. Not trying to pile on, but thoughts on Kobbie's running stats last 2 games?
Yeah, we talked about this.
Sure if he could.
We talked about this recently, and I think the thing to note here, you know, on the Kobbie running stats, and we kind of went over it in detail, is that, look, the reality is, obviously, yeah, it is quite impressive the amount he's running and the distance that he's doing, and obviously, you know, the reality is that when we had Ruben Amorim in, you're asking for 2 different types of like, there's 2 different types of running, right? Like, the guy doing the 100-yard dash is a very different runner to the guy doing the marathon, the London Marathon, right? 2 totally different skill sets, 2 totally different asks, 2 totally different things. And, you know, when we have Ruben Amorim, we were looking for more like someone doing, you know, the sprints, you know, up and down, fast recovery pace, things like that. It's not about distance running. It's about, you know, doing sprints in the midfield, getting back really fast, covering bigger spaces. In this setup, as it is presently, and what you're getting from Kobbie, and clearly what he can do, which is great, is cover large distances over the space of a game. You know, I compared it similarly to Christian Eriksen in style, because when we had Ten Hag here, Christian Eriksen was regularly covering the same distances, very large distances. He was our highest average runner, 12 kilometers, things like that, regular games. Obviously, Christian Eriksen, not a sprinter, not somebody running hard, you know, getting up and down the pitch at fast paces, but a really, really hard worker. And so I think, you know, what to take away properly, if one is being objective about the situation, is that obviously Kobbie Mainoo can work hard. He can work hard, and he can cover lots of ground. That's never been in question in my mind at all, frankly, and in a similar way to Christian Eriksen. But if you're asking for somebody to keep up on a sprint or cover a counter and get back, he's still not the ideal guy. You want to get the right partner next to him, like we had younger Casemiro for that first stretch sitting next to Christian Eriksen, who could clean up. And that's really what it tells me, is that's still what we need for the most part, is the guy who can be fast, the fast player, the more like burst, like you have your long runner and your more burst player to play next to him in the midfield. That's what we still don't have at this club, and that's what we need. It's not, for them, it's not necessarily about the distance, but the speed and athleticism in closing gaps and spaces and counters. And for a box-to-box like Kobbie Mainoo, the distance, I think, is important. So it's real interesting to see that, and I think just full credit to him for being obviously a very, very hardworking player. And as we addressed, you know, I think that Ruben was in the wrong for not figuring out a better way to utilize that, and screwed it up, So it is impressive, and I hope he keeps it up. I also hope, that I hope we don't have to do as much long distance running as we have had to at times, because we've had problems with that as a club in the past. So hopefully we keep up with our fitness demands, because that's an area that has improved recently. And, hopefully we don't start getting, with the change, we don't see the muscle injuries and things return that we were seeing in the past as well. I got a little worried about Dorgu, but, that was just, I think, a real unfortunate one where we all saw it happen as well. I'm watching the Napoli versus Chelsea game in the background. Chelsea, I believe, just scoring here. Yep. Wow, what a goal that is. Who scored that? João Pedro? Yeah, what a goal that was. Left-footed from João Pedro. Woo! 2-2. What a banger. All right, guys. I think that's it. I think I'll call it there today. I don't have too much else to speak about right now. And yeah, that's pretty much it. What are the swap rumors around Rashford? I think they'll just buy him. I don't think we'll be doing any sort of swap or anything at the moment. I think we'll just buy him. Spurs are 4th in CL. Isn't that crazy? Like, as a last commentary, don't you guys think, like, I know we hear a lot, oh, the Premier League is bad. I've never really seen it that way. I think the Premier League is the most competitive it's ever been, because the quality baseline is higher than it's ever been. And that's why we're seeing such a tight table. And I don't think it's because the league is bad, or it's because teams are bad, or it's because the Premier League is shit now. I think the reality is that the baseline in the Premier League is the highest it's ever been. That doesn't mean the top end quality is the highest it's ever been, but I think the bottom has come up dramatically, especially in this new sort of fast attacks press kind of meta of football. It's a big shift. And I think that you see it when we play, when these teams play in Europe. Like Tottenham and United were in the Europa League final last year, 15th and 17th in the league, Europa League final. And look at this year. It's this form of English teams is carrying further. I think that it's just the reality. The Premier League is the most competitive league in football by far, and the bottom has come up from even where it was, and that's it. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you for watching today's video. Once again, just as a reminder, we're now having a sponsorship from Proton VPN, so you can use the link below or scan the QR code if you need VPN help. But otherwise, thank you for hanging out with me today. Appreciate you all. Make sure to drop a like on the video. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to check out the videos from yesterday and the day before. I'll be back tomorrow, and then we'll be getting into pre-match stuff and all of that. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Good night. Enjoy the rest of the games, and I will catch you later. Goodbye.